let's get into it. A lot of you guys out there are wondering, should I buy a house first or should I buy a car? And we're going to talk about the pros and cons of buying a car or a house. Of course, I'm a realtor, I'm in real estate. So, I'm also a landlord, so I'm going to lean more towards buying a home, but I'm going to give cars and vehicles a fair chance because in today's times, depending on where you're at, you absolutely need a vehicle. No point of having a home if you can't get from point A to point B if you don't have the proper transportation. Let's get into it. The value of a vehicle is very high because you do need an independent source of transportation. Now, if you live in a metropolitan area where you have buses, you have trains, in today's times, you have Uber. So it's not like back in the day where there was no transportation whatsoever. In today's times, there's so many ways to get around. It's really undervaluing you having your own car. However, I do believe you do need your own vehicle. You do need your own source of transportation just in case, the Uber app crashes, just in case, it's not safe to ride the trains. As some of you guys know, sometimes it's not safe to be on public transportation. Times like this, with a pandemic going on, you don't want to be cooped up with a whole bunch of people and your only source of transportation is public transportation. So that's not always ideal in times like this. So you do need a vehicle. However, if you were to buy a property, if you were to buy a house or property, whatever the property may be, condo, townhouse, a business, commercial property, a regular home, even a manufactured home. If you were to purchase property, land, and you were to use the equity from that property that you bought, take out a loan and buy you a car. See, if you already have the transportation part down, you can buy property first, take out a second loan, second mortgage on that home, and buy a vehicle, and your interest rate 9 times out of 10 is going to be lower than if you were to get a loan on a car lot. So there's a little tip for you right there. Taking out a loan from your house, the interest rate will be lower than if you were to go to a car lot with great credit. If you have above average credit and you take out a second mortgage on your home, your interest rate will be lower than if you had great credit and you went to a car lot. Okay, so I think going to the car lot is somewhere between 5.30 to up to 6 something interest rate if you have great credit. And if you have just a little bit above average credit for a home, it's 5 points. So imagine if you had great credit and you have a house. So that's number one. Number two, just remember, you're going to always be buying different vehicles. You're going to always be getting different vehicles every 5 to 10 years. You're going to always get a different vehicle. You're going to have to upgrade that vehicle because of wear and tear. You're just always going to have to get a new vehicle. And it's never going to be, the resale value of a vehicle is never going to go up. It's going to be lower. If you put 20-inch rims on a Lexus, it's going to decrease the value of that Lexus. If you put, a customized radio system, sound system in a luxury vehicle, you're going to decrease the value of that vehicle. Versus if you take that same money to buy those 20-inch rims and you put granite countertops in your kitchen, you're going to increase the value of your home. So when you do upgrades to your house, you can increase the value of your home. Wherever the house is, wherever the home is, it could be a condo, it could be whatever. You can increase the value of the home when you put upgrades into the home. Another thing, you can pay for your kids' college by purchasing a home. You can start a business by purchasing a home. Just by having a home over time and taking care of it in the course of 10 years, instead of you having to buy a new house, you can keep that same house and it's going to be worth, guaranteed it's going to be worth more than what you bought it 10 years ago if you keep it up. So those are the differences: depreciating value, appreciating value, and resale value. So 10 years later, I can resell the house and get a profit from when I bought it. But if you do that with a car, you're not gonna get a better resale value. That's just facts. Everybody knows that. So you go buy a 2020 Honda Accord, and in 2030, that Honda Accord, you're not going to be able to resell that Honda Accord for that same value that you purchased it. You're not going to have any equity. You can't use equity to start a business from that car. You can't use the equity to send your kids to college through that car. You can't use any equity because it's not growing equity. There's no equity in that 2020 Honda Accord, even though it may be a great car and it runs well and it lasts a long time. The resale value for that Honda Accord is not going to be the same as the resale value as a home. In 10 years, that home might have doubled depending on where you live. You could be purchasing the house for $150,000, and in 10 years, depending on where you live, that thing could be worth $300,000. So imagine what you could do with that. With a car, other than getting you from point A to point B comfortably, that's all a car does. That's all a vehicle does, is get you from point A to point B comfortably. And a lot of times, not even comfortably. Some of you guys buy used cars and the AC doesn't work, so you got to drive hot, or the heater doesn't work, so you got to freeze yourself to death on your way to work, depending on where you live. So that's the difference between buying a house and buying a car. But if you're just starting out and you need to get to work, and you need to get to school, and you need to get home, and you need to get to work, you need to get to school, and you need to drive all these places, yes, buy a car, but don't spend an arm and a leg on transportation. That's not a great investment, because now you're going to be bogged down in car payments, and that's not smart. You don't want to be broke. So get you some, that's economically savvy when you buy your vehicle, and that's it. If you're just starting off, you don't need to get the newest state-of-the-art vehicle, especially if you're under 30 years old or under 25. Just get you something for today, for right now. All right, so those are the differences between a car and buying a home. If I missed anything, and you experts out there, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. Follow me on all social media platforms. It's your boy, Mr. Landlord Status.